All right, so far we have talked about what is coaching. We've talked about why coaching when there are all kinds of other opportunities out there. And today we're going to talk about when should I start this coaching thing and when can I fit it into my day-to-day life. So you might have already been mulling around with the idea of like, okay, I understand what coaching is now. I'm intrigued. I understand the why, like there's a lot of really good perks of becoming a coach with that built-in accountability. You get to focus on yourself first. You focus on yourself as part of your job, not even just to start with, and then you kind of forget about that later on, but it's like it is forever the number one job of yours as a coach. But now you might be thinking, okay, when can I fit this in? Like if you're like me, when I started thinking, okay, could this coaching thing be for me? I had to start thinking, okay, I'm a full-time teacher. I have an hour commute there and an hour commute home every day to my job. I have a life and I don't want all of my spare time to be taken up by another job. At the same time though, I needed to start paying back on my student loan debt. And sadly, my teaching income just wasn't cutting it. It wasn't enough to do what I wanted to do because I had big debt payoff goals, still do, but early on I had those payoff goals and I wanted to be doing something that was substantial. You know, I at the time and still didn't have any children. I didn't have anybody else really to worry about. We had a couple of dogs, I have chickens, but otherwise I had the ability to kind of be selfish with that income that I was making, and I wanted to put a lot towards debt. So I wanted to do something that I could do that with. I've been a waitress in the past. I've done all kinds of different customer service, hourly wage type jobs, and I didn't really want to do anything like that. So when coaching came about, when that opportunity and that idea of like, could this be for me? I really had to start thinking, okay, if I were to do that, when would I do it? When would I be able to fit that in? And for me, I'm sure you can guess if you've been around or followed me for any time at all, I chose mornings. Mornings was a great opportunity for me. I am somebody who is willing to get up earlier. I am not willing to stay up later. I love my sleep. So often I hear, I can't get up early because I love my sleep. Well, mine is the opposite. I can't go to bed late because I love my sleep. I'm a morning person in the sense that I can be so much more productive early in the morning versus late at night. I don't catch like the second wind or whatever. I just get more and more tired and more groggy the later the night goes on. Caffeine doesn't help me, none of that. But I am, first thing in the morning, I am like, let's do this. I got everything, like let's rock it. So for me, I knew that about myself. So I was like, mornings, that could be a good chunk of time. And I realized through talking with my mentor and thinking about all of it, the time that I needed to put in really wasn't a whole lot, because if you recall from the prior videos, my jobs as a coach were focusing on me, getting my workout in, which I was already doing because I had chosen to pursue this as a customer first. I was already doing my workouts in the morning. I was already, following my nutrition program, and I was using the supplements. I was already doing a lot of those things. So really the only thing that I had to start adding was making sure I was sharing about that on social media, and then starting to connect and welcome other people to the community to do this with me. I started inviting other people to do this. I was sharing about it. I was loving the results that I was seeing, and I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to make time for when am I going to send some messages to invite other people? When am I going to post on social media? Because it's not as simple as just taking a quick picture and posting. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's taking a video and typing a caption on there that's explaining like, what is this video or what is it that I'm doing right now? I've started recording workout clips, like things like that, but I needed to figure out when I was going to put in that time. I also knew that becoming a coach that I was going to have things like team calls that I was going to get to watch. I wanted to make sure I was making time for personal development. Now, thankfully for me, for an hour commute there and an hour commute back, I had 2 hours a day where I could listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts. I had plenty of time to be listening to personal development, but it was something that I still needed to think about and consider of okay, that's part of my job. Part of my job would be personal development. So I need to make sure I'm doing that every single day so that I can be growing in that way. So thinking about when you could fit it in, the answer honestly though is whenever works best for you. Mornings were what I chose early on. Then as I got deeper into this, I chose, I was like, you know what? I really just want to focus on getting my workouts in, doing that kind of stuff in the morning. I will come home after I teach making sure I left teaching on time, because that used to be a thing that I really struggled with. I could technically leave at like 4 most days, and I'd catch myself still being there at almost 6 o'clock most nights. And I was working so much extra time, and I realized, you know what? I don't get paid to work extra time. That's why they give me a time that I can leave. I really want to make it a goal that I'm leaving when I need to be leaving, so that I can come home and I can continue working on this coaching business. And so I began to choose, I would get home typically around 4:30, and I would sit down at my desk and I would work until about 5:30 or 6. And then I would start making dinner and I would be done for the night. So I'd put in about an hour to an hour and a half in the evenings. Weekends, even now, I take weekends mostly off. I do put in some work on Sundays, but weekends could also be an option. You know, you may choose to work Tuesdays and Thursdays, an hour in the evenings or an hour in the mornings, and then maybe 2 hours on Saturdays to start with. And then over time, you might decide, you know what, I want to spend a little bit more time, because things that I like to work on and things that I was even working on back then, you know, I run groups. I have these private groups that I run that I help my clients with, because my fourth job as a coach is to help my clients, those that I've welcomed into my community, is to help them see results. And one way that I do that is by running these private groups where I share daily posts. I'm checking in there personally. I share my meal plans there. I go live, all kinds of different things that I'm providing lots of value to those that have joined me, on top of everything that they get with their bundle when they sign up with me. So, you know, figuring out when you're going to do all of that was something that I had to do. I wanted to dive into these women that were joining me and cheer them on and ask them how they were doing. And if they had questions, I needed to have time built in so that I could be responding to them. Because when somebody joins you, they're not sure of all this. That's why they've joined you. They are now trusting you to be their mentor and to guide them, their built-in accountability partner along the way. And so by having that time built in to answer those questions, I felt so good about that. You know, while I was teaching all day, I didn't have my phone out. I couldn't be responding to somebody asking me a question about a meal plan or a recipe or a workout or whatever. But I did have that time when I would come home and I would sit down at my desk at 4:30 and I would have my phone there. Even if I just spent that hour or hour and a half just responding to messages that I had gotten throughout the day, that was work. Like, I was able to do that. I was able to help the people, which is part of my job as a coach. So it's really as simple as whenever you are willing to put in that time. And another thing that I want to mention is before I realized that I could do the afternoons, I didn't think I had the opportunity to do the afternoons. But then when I sat down, I was like, what do I do every day when I get home? I lost hours in my day. I had no idea what I was doing when I would get home from work. I'm like, what am I doing? I was sitting on my phone, getting lost in scroll. I was sitting down watching TV. I wasn't doing anything productive. So I started to realize I'm going to stop wasting time. Another thing is I decided to give up some TV time. So what I chose to do is I would come home from work and I would come straight to my office and I would sit down and I would start working on this business instead of sitting down in front of the TV. Now, I still have TV time. I still had TV time back then, but it would usually be after dinner. So I would cut my workday off at 6, at the latest, some days earlier than that. I would go in, I'd make dinner. We'd be done with dinner about 7. And from 7 to 9 would be my time to have an opportunity to either watch TV, hang out with my now husband, boyfriend at the time. And that worked for me. I don't need more than 2 hours of TV a day. What is that doing for me? What purpose is that serving? It wasn't. So I was willing to give that up. So that might be another thing that you would have to consider is, what am I willing to give up? Is that TV time really serving you? Is that scrolling time on your social media really serving you? Or could you be doing something a little more beneficial to your everyday life, to your income, to your goals, by utilizing, you're already on social media, but let's do something better with that time. And then the last thing, when to get started. And the answer is as simple as now. There is no reason to wait. Now, I get it. I waited for 6 months to start. However, I am confident that if I would have started sooner, I would only just be further along than I am now. So I am here to help every step of the way. And if you are ready, this is the time to get started. The time to get started is right here, right now, because what else do you have to lose? Your number one job is you anyway. So if you start now, that's what we're going to focus on. I am going to encourage you to pick a workout program, pick a nutrition program, and go all in to get your own results and reach your own goals first and foremost, because that's your job as a coach. So